Saudi Arabia just dropped a bombshell that's shaking the world. Deep within their ancient vaults, they've uncovered something that's sparking a global firestorm of debate. Artifacts and scriptures have been revealed, treasures that completely upend one of the most iconic symbols of Western Christianity, the traditional image of Jesus Christ. The figure depicted here has dark skin and Middle Eastern features, a stark contrast to the fair-skinned, European Jesus we've seen for centuries. For a predominantly Islamic nation like Saudi Arabia, to unveil this is groundbreaking, and it's forcing the world to rethink everything we thought we knew about religion, race, and representation. This isn't just about history, it's about how we see ourselves and each other. It's a chance to reclaim a more inclusive and accurate view of spirituality, and to challenge the way religious symbols have been used to uplift some and exclude others. So, what's your take on this mind-blowing discovery? Does it flip the script on how you see history, faith, or even yourself? Let's hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's spark this conversation. And if you're all about diving deep into history, philosophy, and the wild intersections of faith and culture, hit that subscribe button and join the crew. Your voice is what makes this community thrive. Why is Saudi Arabia revealing its ancient vaults now? The Saudi government has recently made a surprising move by deciding to open its ancient vaults to the public. These vaults, kept in a highly secure and secretive location, have held the world's interest for a long time. People have talked about them having old artifacts, religious items, and important historical papers inside for years. Despite many requests from experts and research groups around the world, the Saudi government didn't let anyone look at these vaults until now. This makes people wonder why they chose this time to show what's in the vaults. It seems like it's part of a bigger plan by the country's leaders, especially Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who wants to change Saudi Arabia in big ways. They have a project called Vision 2030 that aims to make the country's economy more varied, less dependent on oil money, and a big place for culture, business, and religion. By opening the vaults, the country might be trying to show that it's modern and open to the world. It's also interesting because the vaults might have things related to Judaism and Christianity, not just Islam. This is important because everyone sees Saudi Arabia as the birthplace of Islam, but by showing these other religious connections, the country might want to be seen as part of a larger, more inclusive religious family. This move could change how people think about Saudi Arabia's role in the world of religion. It suggests that the country is reaching out to others and wants to be a leader in discussions about history, religion, and cultural heritage. It's all part of their effort to be a place that brings people together and shares its story with the rest of the world. This change fits with recent moves towards interfaith dialogue, like hosting Christian and Jewish leaders in Riyadh. It suggests that Saudi Arabia wants to be seen not just as the guardian of Islamic holy sites, but also as a protector of shared history among faiths. However, some people are skeptical. They wonder if this is really about knowledge and culture, or if it's a way to be more powerful in the world, especially considering the timing. This revelation comes when Saudi Arabia is trying to be a stronger leader in the Middle East and get noticed globally. It's happening when countries like Iran and Turkey are telling their own stories. Some think this move is a gentle way of showing how important they are by highlighting their history. Others feel it might be a clever distraction from issues at home, like human rights problems, and people who disagree with the government. By sharing these ancient secrets, Saudi Arabia has put itself in the middle of modern discussions about what's real and what's important in religion and politics. People are curious and watching closely to find out what's inside and what this means for their place in the world. Is it about being honest about history, or is it a smart move to improve their image and work closer with Western countries? Saudi Arabia's action opens a door to their past and makes them part of today's big conversations. Whether it's genuine or a strategic move, the world is paying attention and waiting to see what comes next. The opening of Saudi Arabia's ancient vaults has sparked a worldwide sensation, questioning long-held beliefs about religious history and iconography. The vaults are said to contain relics that are nearly 2,000 years old, as per Saudi officials. These treasures include ancient manuscripts, finely carved stone tablets, and incredibly well-preserved parchments. What's really grabbed the world's attention, though, is the depiction of a figure believed to be Jesus Christ. This portrayal is quite different from the traditional images we see in Western Christian art. These artifacts show a man with dark skin, curly hair, and features typical of the Middle East at that time. This matches what we know about the actual look of people from ancient Judea, rather than the European-style images we're used to. These ancient images, etched in stone and carefully drawn on parchment, might give us one of the most accurate views of what Jesus looked like. They offer a story that fits better with the real world he lived in than the pictures we've had for centuries. These depictions challenge us to think about how Western art has shaped our ideas of religious figures. The writings these images come with are from a very long time ago, in languages like ancient Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, which were spoken in the place and time Jesus lived. When people start to read these texts, they're finding out that Jesus might have looked different than we've always thought. The carvings and pictures show a man who looks like he's from the Middle East, which makes sense because that's where he lived. This makes us think about how the past is often shown in the way we want to see it today. The people who found these artifacts think that they can help everyone understand Jesus better and start new conversations between different religions and cultures. A spokesperson said, "These things from the past ask us to think about history in a new way that includes everyone. We think this find is a big chance to bring people closer and learn more about a very important person in the world's history." The way Jesus is described in these texts doesn't match the pictures we usually see. This makes us wonder how we've been telling the story of Jesus and which points of view have been more important in that story. By presenting these findings as a way to encourage people of different faiths to come together and understand each other. The kingdom treats the artifacts as very important for all cultures. This is more than just something interesting for scholars to look at. However, some people are not sure if the artifacts are real and question why they are being shown now. The Saudi government has said that they checked everything very carefully with the help of scholars who do not work for them. Some think that this might be part of Saudi Arabia's plan to show the world that they are an important place for culture and religion. No matter what the reasons are, these artifacts give us a special chance to think again about a person who has had a big effect on history. They make us question how we see Jesus, how we show him in art, and the stories we tell about him. As people who study history, religion, and theology look at these objects, we can expect new discussions to start. These talks will not just be about Jesus' history but also how people build their ideas about who someone is, and how that affects what people believe and do now. These new findings are a powerful reminder of how much the stories from the past can shape our world today. They ask us to think about the long-lasting effects of the tales we tell. This is a chance for everyone to think deeply about the history of religion and how it affects the way we live now. Why this discovery is shocking the world. The discovery of artifacts showing Jesus with Middle Eastern features is causing a stir around the globe. It's shaking up a key story in Western Christianity. For a long time, Jesus has been shown as a white, European-looking man in religious art, films, books, and how people think about him. This white Jesus has not only affected how people understand theology, but also how the West sees itself and other cultures. During the Renaissance, artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo depicted Jesus as a white European, and this portrayal became the dominant image of him in the Western world. As European influence expanded globally through colonization and missionary work, this representation of Jesus spread far and wide. Over time, this image contributed to a broader cultural narrative that equated whiteness with superiority, shaping societal norms and perceptions in ways that still resonate today. This idea of a white Jesus has affected how people think about race and religion. It made it easier for some to justify unfair treatment of people who don't look like the European version of Jesus. Now, Saudi Arabia has found things that show Jesus with darker skin, curly hair, and features that are clearly from the Middle East. This discovery is pushing everyone to think again about what Jesus really looked like and what it means for history and how people live their lives. The artifacts present a Middle Eastern Jesus, which is significant because they're closer to where Jesus actually lived. This new evidence shakes up old ideas and shows that Western religious art has been influenced by its own culture rather than by Jesus' real history. We need to reconsider our views of Jesus and think about what this means for our world today. For a long time, scholars have talked about what Jesus might have looked like, knowing he would have resembled the people from first century Judea. But these conversations have mostly been based on guesses. Now, with these newly found artifacts, like carvings and manuscripts, the talk can be about real, historical evidence. These items confirm Jesus' cultural and geographic context, and show how his image has been changed over time to fit different agendas. This isn't just interesting for scholars, it's big for everyone. The idea that Jesus was white has often been used to make some people feel more important than others. This has been linked to things like colonialism, slavery, and keeping certain groups of people down. By showing that Jesus actually had Middle Eastern features, these artifacts challenge that idea. It makes us question how religious pictures have been used to support unfair systems. This discovery opens up a deeper conversation about fairness and how we understand faith. It's not just about changing art, it's about changing the way we think. It's about making sure our beliefs are based on the truth, not just what we've been taught by the powerful. So, these artifacts from Saudi Arabia are important because they make us look again at history and maybe start to fix some of the problems that came from misunderstanding Jesus' appearance. This find is especially surprising because Saudi Arabia is mostly non-Christian. By sharing this information, the country stands out as a neutral voice challenging Western views on Jesus' look. This action shows Saudi Arabia as a protector of historical accuracy and an influencer in global religious and cultural discussions. It's a significant move that changes how the country is seen in the international religious and academic community. This revelation leads to more profound conversations about how faith, identity, and power are connected. It makes us rethink the way religious stories are made and shared. By revealing these historical facts, the findings push us to consider the long-lasting impact of religious images. They encourage a more inclusive view of the past that appreciates the diversity that's always been part of human life. Saudi Arabia's discovery acts as a starting point for discussions on the intersection of faith, identity, and power. It urges us to critically evaluate the origins of religious narratives and seek a more comprehensive and inclusive understanding of history. This new perspective can lead to a more truthful and varied appreciation of the human experience. When artifacts showing Jesus with Middle Eastern and African looks came out, it started a big argument around the world. People who study religion, history, and theology, along with religious groups, had strong feelings about this. Some think it's great that Saudi Arabia is showing a more accurate picture of Jesus. But others think they are butting into Christian traditions and are not sure if the artifacts are real. This argument is part of larger issues about who gets to decide how we see things from the past and how they relate to our beliefs. In America, this discovery has sparked deep division. For centuries, American Christianity has been closely tied to European traditions and imagery, with most Americans envisioning Jesus as a white man. Now, these new findings are challenging that long-held image, stirring tension within religious communities. Many church leaders are skeptical about the artifacts, questioning their authenticity and whether Saudi Arabia, a predominantly Islamic nation, should have a say in redefining a central Christian figure. Some even see this as a deliberate attempt to sow conflict between cultures and religions, adding another layer of controversy to an already heated debate. On the other hand, some people think this is a chance for Christians to think more about who Jesus really was. They want everyone to know the true history of Jesus' appearance. This situation also brings up the problem of race and religion, especially for Black communities in America. For a long time, Black people have asked for more truthful images of religious figures, because the ones we usually see are from Europe and don't show their African and Middle Eastern backgrounds. For communities with Black or brown-skinned people, seeing Jesus depicted in their own skin color is deeply meaningful. It shows that biblical stories belong to everyone, not just one culture or race. These images remind them that early Christianity was diverse, and they have a place in that history. Leaders in these communities are happy about this discovery, because it supports their belief that the typical Western portrayal of Jesus doesn't accurately reflect his life and times. This is not just a religious issue, It also involves cultural power and the way history is remembered. Some in the West see Saudi Arabia's revelation as a challenge to European and American influence over religion. It suggests that Western ideas about Jesus might not be the only true ones. This has led to accusations of trying to stir up trouble and change history for their own benefit. In other parts of the world, especially where Christianity is strong but not originally from the West, people are curious and feel a connection to this new image of Jesus. It's important to them to see Jesus looking like them, and it's leading to new discussions about how faith is for everyone, not just one group of people. As people argue about this, it's making everyone think hard about how much of religion is based on actual history and how much is just cultural. It's also making them think about how religious images have sometimes been used to keep people out or put them down. This is a complex issue that makes both believers and non-believers think about how their faith and their identity are connected to the power structures around them. Even though we might not find clear answers, this conversation is going to change how we understand the connection between religion, history, and how we show things in the world. It's going to keep going for a long time and make us think differently. Saudi Arabia's recent involvement in presenting artifacts that offer new views on Jesus is quite unexpected and strategically significant. Typically known as the center of Islam, the country hasn't often taken part in Christian discussions or interfaith talks, instead, focusing on preserving and spreading its Islamic heritage. This change shows Saudi Arabia's desire to become a key player in international cultural and religious discussions. By bringing to light artifacts that give different insights into the historical Jesus, Saudi Arabia is trying to be a mediator in conversations between different religions. This supports a story of shared beginnings among the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It also fits with the country's bigger plan, Vision 2030, led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This initiative aims to make the nation's economy more varied, reduce its need for oil, and show the world a more modern and progressive side of Saudi Arabia. A big part of this plan is to make the country a place where different cultures and religions can learn from each other. This move is important because it shows that Saudi Arabia wants to be seen as a country that can bring people together and help them understand each other better. It highlights the common ground between the three major faiths that all come from Abraham. This could help create better relationships between them. The central idea here is that Saudi Arabia wants to show that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all come from the same place. This helps them want to be a country that brings people together and makes them understand each other better. But some people are not sure if they are doing this because they really care or if they have other reasons. One reason people are talking about this is that Saudi Arabia might be trying to become more powerful and important around the world, especially compared to countries like Iran and Turkey. These countries have also tried to be leaders in the Muslim world by using religion and stories from the past. So, by sharing these findings, Saudi Arabia might be trying to say that they are the most important in religion and history. Some people do not trust that the things they found are real and have not been changed. Even though Saudi Arabia says that experts from other countries have checked everything, some still think that there might be some problems with it all. This situation is making people talk a lot about history, religion, and what different countries should say about it. It's a big change for Saudi Arabia because they are usually not known for this kind of thing. They might be doing it to make people forget about the bad things happening inside their country and to make friends with other countries, especially those in the West. In spite of the ongoing controversies, Saudi Arabia's role in this revelation is a big change from what it usually does. This shows that the country wants to play a new part in the world. It's either because they really want to help different faiths talk to each other, or because they have smart reasons for doing this. Either way, Saudi Arabia has started a huge discussion about history, beliefs, and how different cultures are shown. By questioning the stories that the West has shaped over many years, the kingdom is saying it can add something important to what we all know about human history. This makes it more than just a protector of Islamic tradition, it's now also a new player pushing for everyone's history and culture to be included. The idea of a black Jesus is not just a change in history, it's a huge shift in how we think about culture and religion. For a long time, people have used Christianity to keep power in the hands of a few, and the way Jesus is usually shown as a white person from Europe has been part of that. This picture of Jesus has been a strong symbol that keeps racist ideas and unfair social orders in place, from slavery to taking over other countries. When we find things that show Jesus with darker skin, and looking like he really would have from the Middle East, it hits these old stories hard. It could change the way we make art about religion, and the way we learn about Jesus. It also makes us think about how Christianity has been twisted to fit political and cultural goals. In places where Europeans took over, showing Jesus as white was a way to say their religion was better and to keep other people down. This idea of Christianity was about leaving some people out and putting others on top. With these new findings from Saudi Arabia, we have a Jesus who is more like the people from the time and place he actually lived. This pushes us to take apart these old ideas. It tells everyone, no matter their religion, to think about how Jesus' message was used to control others. It also makes us realize that Jesus' story is for everyone, and that it's important to know where and when he lived. Saudi artifacts depict a Jesus that looks more like the people of 1st century Judea. This can change the way we think about Jesus. It makes Christians and non-Christians realize that Jesus' message is for everyone. It's not just for one group of people. This change can be big for religious education and how people of different faiths talk to each other. For a long time, we've mostly seen Jesus as Western art shows him. This has affected how we learn about religion. If we start using more accurate pictures of Jesus, we'll understand that faith comes from many different cultures and histories. This can help us appreciate the variety and depth of our beliefs. For Black and other marginalized groups, seeing Jesus look more like them is really important. It's like saying, "Yes, you belong here too." This can lead to new, more genuine ways of connecting with their faith. It's not about changing history, but understanding it better. Religious images aren't fixed. They change with the times and the people who worship. Knowing this doesn't make our faith weaker. It makes it richer. It lets us think more deeply about our beliefs and where they come from. It helps us understand how faith, history, and who we are today all mix together. This revelation is a chance for all religious groups to think hard about their past and how it shaped their holy figures. It doesn't mean that these figures are less special. It just means we get to know them better. This makes our connection to our faith more complex and interesting. When communities understand Jesus within their historical and cultural context, they can create a more accepting and empathetic approach to spirituality. This helps to break down the barriers of exclusion and control often found in religious practices. A true picture of Jesus encourages a rethink of what faith can be, not a means to power, but a way to bring people together and understand one another. This shift allows believers to view their traditions as part of a bigger human story. It honors different religious experiences and sets the stage for a future where faith unites rather than divides. It becomes a source of empowerment and inclusiveness, not division and control. By seeing religion this way, we open the door to a world that uses faith to grow together, understand each other, and live in harmony. It's a chance to harness the positive power of religion for the good of everyone. So, let's make faith simple and clear, a tool for collective growth, understanding, and unity. This way, everyone can benefit from the richness of religious traditions without feeling left out or overwhelmed by complexity.